Hello there, guys. I am back with a brand new Hangout video, but this time it's a rather special one, as I have a very special guest with me here tonight. I'm joined by comedian, inventor, actor, best known for The X-Files and this show right here, The Lone Gunman.
Oh, look at that.
It's just there.
There I am.
Dean Haglund, aka Langley, and how are you, Dean?
Good, James. Thanks for having me on the Google Hangout. I apologize for my webcam not working. I had it disconnected after I was a little thing called skipjacking over here. It's a little piece of evil software that will automatically turn on your webcam without you knowing it when you click on any random button on any random website. So I had a little security issue with my thing, and so I went inside and took out the wires, and I didn't have time to hook it back up in the short amount of time. I forgot I did it, actually. I never used my webcam.
That's okay, but it's still going to be a cool interview anyway, because it's you.
It's me. Yes, exactly. Everybody was going, oh, that was a Dean Haglund impersonator you had. But that's cheating, James.
Right,
no, it's really me. I'm in Los Angeles, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I've got a few things here to talk about to do with your work.
Fantastic.
And, I said inventor in the intro, and I meant that in the way of the chill pack.
Yes, I'm using one right now.
Sorry? I'm
using one right now. It's under my laptop.
So this can you explain it a little bit what it was?
Yes. Well, your laptop, if you're talking to me on a laptop right now, you maybe hear a fan going and you feel that heat. That is actually slowing down your processor and making your computer run slower and sort of die out faster. So I invented a cooling pad that has no condensation, insulated on the bottom, so you can actually put your laptop in your lap again. Yeah. And I won a silver medal at the International Inventors Expo in Geneva, Switzerland. I sold them around the world, and then a company came, bought the patent, and said they were going to manufacture millions of them, and never heard from them again.
So that means you don't sell them anymore yourself? Unfortunately,
I do not. I have my freezer's full of them. I got about 6 or 8 that I continually use in the freezer, and even the prototype is still functioning. There was no planned obsolescence the way I had it. So I don't know if this company is trying to redesign it so it falls apart in 5 years or what. But no, everybody who has one loved it. They still use it to this day. And in fact, I might switch mine out because mine, it's always good to get a nice cool one in while you start a new show.
Was it easy to create?
No, actually, it turns out that the company that bought the patent had to call me about 80 times to figure out how I did it. It all came from I had a knee injury, of course, from my days in modern dance. And when I was working on the laptop one day, the whole screen freezed up and I moved it over to my knee that had one of those cooling things on it. And then the movie started playing again. So then I realized that by physically adding cold to the bottom of your laptop, it makes all the components actually work again. So I just found a material that doesn't create condensation, and the way it went, and patented it and called it chill pack. And
cool thing to have, really.
It's very handy to have. And this laptop, even though the webcam is not functional by my own design, this laptop should have been in the bin heap a long time ago, but I think to the chill pack, it still runs like a charm.
Yeah. And your Hollywood Hour, the podcast, Chill Pack Hollywood Hour, is that named after the invention?
Yes, absolutely. Originally, when I had the patent, it was a way to advertise, buy one of these things. And then when I sold the patent off, then we didn't want to bother changing the name because that would be such a hassle to rename the show. So we still call it the Chill Pack Hollywood Hour, even though
that's a great name for the show.
Yes, It's sort of like the Colgate Comedy Hour, you know, that whole throwback to 50s and 40s radio.
I listened to today's podcast earlier. Really good show. Good show.
Thank you. It's up. We pre-recorded, I think, yesterday because I was doing so many of these things today.
Yeah, I was. Sorry, where was I? I was listening to your part about the X-Files reboot.
Yes, isn't that exciting?
Wouldn't much to say on that show, actually.
Well, yeah, wait, James, are you not? There's some people who aren't keen on this reboot. Are you one of those?
No, I'm actually pretty looking forward to it.
Oh, you are? Because I've had a few of the UFO ghost hunter types that go, okay, well, this show was groundbreaking when it was UFOs and ghost hunting, and nobody had heard of that. But now it's so popular culture, you know, every other show is a ghost hunting show or a UFO hunting show. What are they possibly going to talk about on the X-Files to be groundbreaking again? Or are they just going to rehash the old stuff and not have anything very innovative to talk about?
They say it's a reboot. Yeah, is it still going to star Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny? Or
yeah, they're signed to do it, as is Mitch Pileggi, who played Agent Skinner, of course. And if you're reading the tweets of William B. Davis, this cigarette smoking man, he is also in. He got a call, so he will be in there as well. Even though he's been killed off 3 times on the show, he will be in the last 6 as well.
How about the Lone Gunman?
Well, we haven't heard a thing. That is the surprising thing of everything. We have not heard whether we're in it or not. We also heard they haven't hired all the writers for all the episodes. So there's still a chance, but at this time, we have no idea.
Because I can't tell whether it was the last Lone Gunman episode or the Jump the Shark episode, you know, of the X-Files, where the Lone Gunman got killed.
Yeah, well, you never saw our bodies, and interestingly enough, we in that episode, it was it Jump the Shark? Yeah, I think so. Where we basically have a horrible virus infect us and to save the entire city. Our funeral are 3 caskets that are hermetically sealed, and they're all the same size, even though one gunman is shorter than the other 2. And props department even we're making a shorter coffin, and Chris said, no, make them all the same size, because then that way, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean their bodies were in there. And sure enough, with the IDW new X-Files season 10 comic book, the lone gunmen are alive. And at the panel at San Diego Comic-Con, I forced Chris Carter to admit that was part of an official canon. So technically, lone gunmen are alive and can come back in the final 6.
Because I know that in season 9 final, I think it was called The Truth, that they did come back to Mulder.
Yes, everybody thought that was ghosts or a hallucination in the desert or something, or perhaps we were just a figment of his imagination as he is wandering around. But in fact, that proves that we were alive all along and we're there, and how we survived the virus thing is a mystery, as the same way as how we got out of the 16th floor vault at the end of the Lone Gunman series. Yeah.
In a little bit, I want to discuss a few of my favorite episodes from the Lone Gunman series. But before that, I was a big fan of the X-Files video game from 1998.
You were? Oh, you did not play that thing.
I did.
Mulder...
the FMV video game.
Wait, is that the one where Mulder's kicking everybody? He doesn't have a gun? Or the 98 one where it's the series of all those like 7 CDs that you had to play?
And Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny weren't in it that much in the beginning, but they go missing.
Yes, that one.
You play Agent Craig Wilmore.
I play Craig Wilmore?
No, somebody else played the character.
Oh yeah, somebody else. Yeah, Craig Wilmore is the lead guy in that trying to find Mulder and Scully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lone gunman guest starred in the near the end of that game.
That's right. Yeah, we went and filmed it. It was actually filmed right near the set while we were shooting an X-Files episode. And they explained how the whole game was supposed to be a grid-like structure so that it could go in any direction and that you just plug in all these other CDs before they had the compression ability for video back then. And they had Agent Spender in there too, didn't they? Who was then suddenly killed off. Like the day they finished filming, then they saw the X-Files episode. That guy was killed off, I think.
I think it was done between seasons 3 and 4.
Yeah, early on, and it was quite a labyrinth game. And I think you're only one of 2 people I know that have played that game to its completion.
Because there was another game called Resist and Reserve or something? Yeah,
Resist and kick the crap out of aliens, because if you played it, it's just Chris Carter said he didn't want to have a first-person shooter, so he didn't want Mulder just running around with a gun blasting away. Yeah. So the game designers go, well, what do we do? Well, I guess Mulder kicks everybody, so he's ruthlessly just kicking anybody who's down on the ground repeatedly. And then, yes, the gunmen show up at the end. Particularly me, I had to record hours and hours of Scully, you have to turn left, turn on the fire extinguisher, then go around the door to get the thing and over by, but don't go to the alien room because blah, blah, blah. Oh, my God. I was that voice in her head that was, one of those ridiculous plot device guidance systems in 90s video games.
Sorry.
That's good.
The truth is, you do or do you still do the Hollywood Broadway tours?
I do. I got a couple coming up. I'm very fortunate to live downtown in a 1929 department store that's been redone, and everybody thinks that Los Angeles has no history, that we basically paved it all and put up shopping malls. And that is true for a lot of the surrounding area, but the downtown core basically had a building boom since the 1880s and all through the 1920s. And there's still 9 original vaudeville silent movie theaters existing on a 10-block radius, all on one street on Broadway. So in 1954, basically all the suburbs exploded. Everybody left the downtown core, and it was abandoned for 40 years practically. And then just recently, everybody started coming back, renovating these department stores and moving them and making them into condos. So all of the architectural heritage, all of the silent film locations, a lot of these theaters are being renovated, and a lot of them are still there, available for tours. And it's really fascinating because you can go through the history of Los Angeles, how it came together, how Hollywood developed California, how all of the theaters that were built where Chaplin met Einstein, Sid Grumman, all these great theaters. The very first showing in North America of the first talkie, the jazz singer, is just up the street. So if you love your silent film, if you love your vaudeville, yeah, absolutely. I'll show you around and give you a tour. So
is it true that you're moving to Australia?
Yes, isn't that exciting? 47 days left in this town, but I'll be I'll be bi-coastal, but one ocean. So instead of bi-coastal New York, LA, like a lot of actors, I'll be Sydney, Los Angeles, and you have 2 places going on and plenty of air miles.
Let's just say a little bit about a little while ago you starred in Bones, TV show Bones.
Yes, did you see it?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen the show, but I would like to watch that The X and the File, I believe the episode was called.
Yeah, absolutely. It was sort of a lot of the crew and writers, or not writers, but the directors on those show also directed X-File episodes and worked on the show for years. So So this was sort of a tongue-in-cheek alien conspiracy episode that Bones and David, what's his character's name in that one? I can't. I watch it all the time. My girlfriend loves it. But yeah, spoiler alert, I'm the murderer. So if you see it, I just do it for you.
Sounds like a really cool episode. And I mentioned Bones as well because David Boreanaz is another one of my favorite actors from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spin-off show Angel.
Yes, and such a great guy. And a huge hockey fan. And me being from Canada originally, we talked all about, I think he's the Philadelphia Flyers or the Boston Bruins, I think is his team. And so we chatted at length about hockey and how Boston's in the dumps these days, but they had their glory days too. So
it's cool.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I gotta pick this up soon on DVD.
Okay.
I think it's the Blu-ray one, but I excuse me, I had a bit of a cough just recently, so past it. What am I? The Truth Is Out There documentary.
Yes. This is
I can play DVDs from other countries, so I can import it and I can play it.
Oh, fantastic!
So,
yeah, well, it's out on Blu-ray as well, which I think is region free, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, I played a conspiracy theorist computer hacker on TV, and the writers early on said, "Oh, do you want to meet like your real life counterparts, the guys who we talk to when we research what we talk about and write about in the show?" And I said, "Oh yeah, absolutely." So they introduced me to, you know, the likes of Stan Freberg, Jordan Maxwell, Dr. Roger Lear, Nick Pope, all these guys. You know, Nick Pope was ex-minister. He was MOD, like he was an MOD in England, who then started touring and talking about the information he knew on UFOs and stuff like that. So I knew all the, I'm sorry?
So I was just gonna say, I liked it also when I saw the trailer and saw that you three, the Lone Gunman was on there as well.
Yes.
Tom and
Bruce. Yeah, we went to Tom's place and sort of discussed what 10 years had brought on us, and because I traveled around the world with a film crew and talking to everybody I knew and all about, you know, conspiracies and UFOs and stuff like that. And so I talked to them, and it was interesting that Bruce doesn't believe in UFOs, doesn't believe any of these conspiracies. He thinks it's all, you know, government ineptitude and everybody covering their ass. So instead of actually somebody planning something really nefarious, they make some big screw up and then they go, okay, you say this and you say that and you say this, and we all get to keep our jobs. And, you know, that's a reasonable explanation for a lot of these things that seem to be otherwise a grand conspiracy. It seems more logical that somebody just screwed the thing up.
I might have to check the region on the Blu-ray because I might get that one.
Yeah, please do. It's also available for streaming at UFO TV, and there's another one, Black Wolf Media. Okay. I think and Tesla Media. Anyway, go to truth-is-there.com, and there's all the links of how you can get it and where you can see it.
Oh, I think that's the site where I saw the trailer on.
Yes, we have the trailer there, and the site now has all the new links and all that, and so we're quite pleased with it.
I was also going to ask, does Tom and Bruce act still?
Yeah, well, Tom sort of retired, and he bought this fabulous cabin up in the Rockies, maybe 300 miles from civilization, that has no phone or internet access. And he goes fishing and hanging out there 6 months at a time. So if you want him at a convention, or you want him in an interview, or you want him to act, you have to get him in the 6 months he has internet and phone access. Because if you don't plan that out, and just go, hey, Tom, can you do this next month? And he's up at the lake. You won't hear from him for like 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so he's living the life of Riley. And then Bruce is still doing a lot of theater, and he just was in a series shot up there, not Once Upon a Time, but I think Arrow, he had a bit part, or maybe Flash, because those are shot up there as well. So I think he was in one of those episodes, if I'm not mistaken. But we just emailed each other going to, has anybody heard anything about the thing, and are we going to do it? What's our availability? That sort of thing. So we are definitely talking.
So what about you? What are you doing at the moment these days? With the
my gosh. Yes. Well, let's start at the beginning. Tonight, for all of those who are in LA, you can come see me do stand-up at the Big and Tall show in downtown Los Angeles at the Lash bar, not grill, just the Lash bar at 4th and Main. And then I got a bunch of tours and an art show coming up. Of course, if you go to my website, deanhaglund.com, you can see a lot of my art there, and you can follow me on Instagram, where I put up most of my new work and a lot of my old work. I'm kind of behind on that. Yeah. So that's coming up, and then we're doing a sequel to The Truth Is Out There. Yes, it's The Truth Is Out There Part 2. We had hundreds of hours of footage that we couldn't use in the first documentary, and a lot of it tended towards a longer time scale. So it was more ancient, not ancient alien stuff, but, you know, a longer timeline of conspiracies, that it wasn't just, you know, this generation thought that we're going to do something nefarious, that it's been, you know, Knights Templar and all of these sort of things. Like, we explore longer timelines. And so we start shooting that this month here in Los Angeles, and that's going to take us around the world as well, over to France and Prague, and some very fascinating stuff there.
Phil Lurlis, the man you do the podcast with,
yes,
is the producer of the film.
Yeah, he's director and producer, and then we both edit, but he does the bulk of the editing as well. So yeah, and in fact, you can hear all about it at our Chill Pack Hollywood podcast, because basically that's our production meeting on air. So we have a weekly production meeting, and then we just record it, because we also talk about movies we've seen and things we're reading and that sort of thing. So, so yeah, we will guide all those who are interested in the making of documentaries through the process. If you follow our weekly free show every Monday at chillpackhollywood.com.
I've been to LA.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
How long ago?
Quite a while ago. My brother lives in Phoenix, Arizona.
That's not that far from here.
Yeah. Quite a while ago. God, I don't know how many years ago, sorry to say, but I wanted to go to Universal Studios.
Yes, all the goofy rides and everything. Or not goofy, some of them are quite fun, actually.
So we went over there. We stayed in a hotel called the Sportsman's Lodge.
Oh my gosh, the historic Sportsman Lodge. Do you know that's where Clark Gable got drunk, and I think that's where he slapped Carole Lombard across the face in front of everyone in the big restaurant there? Did you eat in that massive restaurant? Yeah, Clark Gable and Carole Lombard got in a massive fight there back in the 40s, because that's how long, that was the only thing in the Valley at the time, was that lodge. That was like a big celebrity thing to go to. And so you stayed at a very historic place, my friend.
Well, thank you. I didn't know at the time, but yeah.
Yeah, they tend not to put spousal abuse in the history books there. But if you read Carole Lombard's autobiography, she talks about, you know, at a restaurant having a row with Clark Gable, and there's a couple other people who have worked there a long time that repeat that story.
So yeah, we stayed there, and we got a pass for, I think, 2 days in Universal.
Mm-hmm. And did you drive everywhere too?
No.
Oh.
we got like taxis there, like to places.
Oh, yeah. The public transit has improved in Los Angeles, and so I actually don't have a car. I'm one of the growing multitudes of Los Angeles that you can now actually get around fairly easily without a car, using public transit and the Uber now and then if you need to.
Yeah.
It's pretty handy.
So when we was in the studios, we took the Jurassic Park ride.
Oh, yes. Did you get your picture?
Yeah, my sister did a lot of pictures at the time.
No, the one where at the very end when the T-Rex attacks you and then the bottom falls out in the waterfall and you fall all like 65 feet almost directly down into the splash zone. They take a picture of you screaming at the end of that, and then you're supposed to buy that.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
What I did is I snuck in with my friend who's a comedian, Brian Blondell, and I said, let's take the ride, but let's look bored as hell as everybody is screaming. So the two of us are just sort of have like our cheeks on our hands and our cheeks, and we're like sort of looking bored as everyone else in the ride is screaming their heads off. And then we purchased that and went, wild and crazy guys. So I still have my photo from the Jurassic Park ride.
We also went on like the tram ride to see different sets.
Oh yeah.
So
was that before or after the fire? Because the fire burnt down like 4 or 5 of the big events there. Did you know that?
Yeah, and it was before that.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So you saw the classic King Kong.
Yeah, and the Back to the Future.
Yes, that ride has now changed. It's still the hydraulics running around, but now it's something else. I think they got rid of the Back to the Future part of it, but it's the same. Yeah, I know, right? Because before it was the Flintstones, so you went around the Flintstone set, and the things would go down a dinosaur's mouth, and then they changed it to Back to the Future, and the DeLoreans would fly around and go, back and forth and throw you around on these hydraulic lifts. But now they just changed it in the last year and a half, and I can't remember what movie tie-in it's with, but it's something.
Also went into the House of Horrors as well.
Oh, did you? That's the one I never go into.
Don't you?
It seems too scary to me.
I'm a big horror fanatic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On my YouTube page, I do many horror movie updates and reviews.
Oh, really? But I'm always worried about going into haunted walk-arounds, because I always think there's like actors dressed up who are going to recognize me, because a lot of my friends do this stuff, and then they're like going to torture me specifically because they're friends with me. So I never know who's behind the scary mask and stuff like that. But I always think, oh, then they're going to grab me, they're going to shake me, they're going to throw me to the ground, and I'm going to have a terrible time of it. So I tend not to go in those.
We also, I think we went along Broadway as well. But is Broadway the place that got the like the actor names on the ground?
No, that is Hollywood Boulevard. That is that's at Hollywood and Highland. Between Hollywood and Highland and Hollywood and Vine is all the Walk of Fame, they call it, with all the stars' names on there. And then at Sid Grumman's Chinese Theater, which is at in between La Brea and Highland, where the Oscars are still held next door. That's where the cement is with the handprints and the shoe prints and the stars writing their autograph in wet cement. All those panels are there.
The Walk of Fame, that's what it was called. That's where we went.
Yeah, that's the classic. That's getting a little dangerous now because of all the characters. Well, they're basically borderline homeless people dressed up as Batman and Tickle Me Elmo, and they get into big fights now. Like police have to arrest them because they try to get their picture taken with the tourists, and then they can't charge, but then they ask for a donation of $5 or $10, and then if they don't pay, then they start getting hostile towards the tourists, and then other action figures step in, and then they start, they're out there every day hanging out, so they all know each other. So these interpersonal conflicts start happening, but they're in character. So Batman is beating up Superman, and then Tickle Me Elmo punches out Wonder Woman. You know, this kind of weird thing happens that you can't imagine. So
Sounds kind of funny.
it is. It's actually hilarious, particularly when you see them in handcuffs being put into the back of a police car after a fight. Those pictures you can find all over Instagram. Yeah. And in fact, they even protested City Hall one day because they were going to ban them altogether. And so you had Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Michael Jackson and not the Michael Jackson lookalike, and you know, all these guys walking around with protest signs saying, let us stand around and soak the tourists. I didn't understand that, but it's pretty funny. Yeah, only in Los Angeles, as they say.
Yeah. We also went to the Hollywood sign.
Mm-hmm. How did you get there? Because this is the big controversy now. Did you? Yes. Oh, the residents at the bottom of the sign are making it more and more difficult to get to that sign. So did you just?
It was like the bus or the tram that took us there.
Yeah. So it just left you at on the street, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So there's a way of going through the neighborhood, and it's a 1919 neighborhood. So the streets are really narrow. And then there used to be a little access road so that you could almost walk right up to the sign.
Yeah.
And they have now sealed that off. There's video cameras, and now the neighbors are arresting, like calling the police on tour groups that are trying to walk up to the Hollywood sign and saying they're trespassing and stuff like that. So the neighborhood has really had their fill of people coming and trying to get really close to the Hollywood side. They don't mind if they're on Beechwood and taking a picture up the hill, like that's fine because that's a wider street. But when you start getting to the curly streets and the hills, that becomes very difficult for them to drive into. There's a lot of garbage that's left behind. So there's a lot of safety issues, and residents are quite irate, particularly those that have been there for 50, 60 years. And there's just been this uptick recently, probably because of, you know, Google Maps and all the apps that just sort of go, there's a Hollywood sign, and then here's how to get to it. And people are just taking their own tours, as it were.
Talking a bit about the, I want to just a minute. With the pilot of the Lone Gunman.
Yes.
That wasn't shown on TV because of the 9/11. Well,
it actually aired 8 months before it actually happened. So for those who are listening to me and watching you, the pilot was written that we stop a plane from flying into the World Trade Center 8 months before it actually happened. So in it, there's a computer chip, and we have to get it to override the controls to get the pilots back so they can manually fly the plane so it goes higher. And that terrorists were doing this to start an international, or the government was doing this to start an international war on terror. And then at just the last moment, the gunman saved the day. So that aired in North America. Then 9/11 happened. Then they said they weren't going to air that, but then they showed it again, but it may not have been on the BBC. But I think Virgin had its own cable or its own network, and they showed it for subscribers who had that early on. And then they weren't going to put it in the DVD, and then they put it. It's now in that DVD pack, so you can see it. Yeah. I think it's even on YouTube.
Oh, but yeah, but I got set and I saw it. The first time I saw it, I think the first time I ever saw the show was on the set anyway.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
So I like to see the pilot and the rest of the show.
Yeah. Now, you might have a collector's item, James, because the original printing of the Lone Gunman set had the same episodes on two sides of the DVD. So it was 3 episodes on one side and then the same 3 episodes on side 2. and you could mail it in and then get the proper one redone. But then a lot of people kept the double copy, and now that's considered a collector's item in the low and good lore.
In the US, there was like double-sided discs.
Yes. Yeah. They had a double-sided disc. Is this one double-sided or is it just single-sided? Because I don't really.
All discs there.
Oh yeah.
Another one there. So, and that's got all the 13 episodes on.
Oh, so you must have the British version, because the ones
Yeah, there's the UK.
Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so the US one, there's one. The first run was double printed.
Only two extra characters in the Lingo, which was quite funny. Jimmy Bond.
Yeah.
Stephen Snedden. He was a hilarious character.
Yes. He was.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Especially one of my favorite episodes. I'm sure. Not sure what the name of it was. I think it might be called The Lion King. It guest starred Mitch Pileggi. One of those.
Oh yes.
Crossover episodes. And
Elvis impersonator.
It's like, oh yeah, that's the one as well.
Yeah. He was quite nervous about doing his Elvis impersonation.
My favorite part was near the end where Jimmy's supposed to have like disguised himself with the help from MyDvdReviews.
That's right, to look like Mitch.
With the makeup to look like different people, and that was hilarious when the real Skinner came in and actually sort of tore the mask off him, and I just like that one.
Yeah, that was very funny because Mitch was actually playing both characters, of course. And he was actually doing a pretty good impersonation of Stephen Snedden. It was kind of funny. Of course, they added that character, Jimmy Bond, after the first episode. So in the pilot, he doesn't show up. And because there's a scene where we find how they make the car work through remote control. And the three of us are discussing the circuit board and how they did it. And we really had trouble with that scene. We go, why would we talk this? We wouldn't even say this amongst ourselves. We would all just know this. And they said, yeah, but the audience wouldn't know it. So you have to discuss that. I go, well, it seems like a lot of exposition for, just for audience sake. And they went, yeah, you're right. So why don't we bring in somebody who doesn't know anything? And then you have to explain it to that guy all the time. So it's like a comic foil and stuff. So that's how Jimmy Bond actually came to be, after that scene in the pilot.
Now the next part I'm going to mention, I don't know whether this was in the pilot. Actually, I brought this down as well to rewatch the show, because I watched it for a while. So I might start rewatching it again tonight or tomorrow. It's a great show, and I just rewatched some of my favorite episodes. And one of my favorite parts, as I said, I don't know whether it was in the pilot or the second one, but it's when there's something to do with a car, and Frowicky starts running and lands, falls down with his face in the mud.
Yes, yeah. They were trying to stop. I think that was the pilot, and we even said to the writers, that man is 52 years old, and you're making him do stunts like fall in the mud and jump in cold water and all that sort of thing. But he was great at that stuff, and totally went for it. You'd think he's sort of, he's a really great guy and reserved, but you don't think of him as a full-on action, doing his own stunts action star. But man, he was really good at it. Really, never complained about it.
I keep looking at my set to see what episodes it is I want to mention about.
Yes. Did you see? My favorite is the all talking monkey episode.
Oh, Planet of the Frowickers.
Yes. Yeah. That was a lot of fun, because we had not just one monkey, but there was a whole series of monkeys on set. They travel as a family.
One they called Peanuts.
Yeah. Well, and apparently, if for all of those who are interested in having movie monkeys, it's quite difficult, because you have to have the monkey on set as a small baby, but they're apparently only able to take direction and follow commands between the ages of maybe 1.5, 2 years old and 3 to 4 years old. So there's a small window at which the monkey can perform. After 4 years old, it becomes too alpha male and won't listen to you anymore, but still wants to sit around on set because its whole family is there. So the family has to stay with the group. So for every scene you saw one monkey that we're acting with, there's another 5 off camera just staring at you, watching you act. And there's like a cute little baby, and they all have little tiny chairs and a heat lamp. And the trainer's there with his wife, making sure they're all fed and they're all been happy. And then one will come and they sort of tell what the scene is. And then the monkey is sort of trained to, you know, work the keyboard and then walk over here. And so the monkey gets like 3 or 4 rehearsals, and then they shoot the scene. We don't get any rehearsals. The actors, you don't get any rehearsals. Just know your lines because you're going to be working with the monkey. So just know your lines, no rehearsal. We rehearse with the monkey, and then we go. So basically it was one take with the monkeys, and then they get to sit down and go back to their heated trailer. We just stood around on set.
I'm saving the best favorite moment till last because it involves your character of Langley. So let's save that. All right.
Okay, I kind of know what that is.
Do you? There's also another one where Frohike got to disguise himself as a German woman's son.
Yes. Eine kleine, or what was that one called again? I can't remember. There was for the poisoner of Alsace.
Yeah.
Eine kleine Frohike?
Eine kleine Frohike, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And
Like Water for Octane was the water-powered car.
Yes, that one was based on an actual. There was a water-powered car that the technology was purchased by some major car manufacturer, and then, of course, never showed up again. And Eine kleine Frohike, that they took a picture of him and made calendars as a crew gift. And so, if you ever find on eBay Frohike in Lederhosen as a 2002 calendar, that's a genuine collector's item.
Okay. And sorry, I'll just look at this. Oh yeah. 3 men in a smoking diaper.
Oh yes. Yeah. The scene where the
there's a part involving Langley where I think you're looking after him at the time, and he says, "Quit it with the fire hose." Where he's just.
That's right. He's peeing in our face. That was a props department very clever contraption that we could operate. So it was sort of like a spring-loaded piece of wood with a squeeze bottle, and you pressed on the wood and it squeezed the bottle, and then it looked like it was peeing in your face. Yeah. So basically it was just below camera frame, and whenever you wanted to pee, you just pressed on this piece of wood and away it went. And of course everybody, that one we did extra takes on because everybody kept laughing so hard every time that happened.
Yeah. Oh, there's another one. Madam, with the guy that keeps thinking he's being abducted by aliens.
Yes, and that had the midget wrestling in it too, if I'm not mistaken.
He keeps going mad, and at one moment he knocked you over, or your character.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. That was Stephen Tobolewsky, who's now presently on Hollywood, Florida, or Welcome to Hollywood, Florida. I think he plays the father of the 2 junior filmmakers that are always getting into trouble. He's such a great actor and so much fun. And at one point he goes crazy and he chainsaws the front of his house off.
Yeah, that was it as well.
That was an elaborate. We had to go through all these different suburbs to find a house that was slated for demolition, and then actually saw the front off the house. and keep it tied together. And then we only had we had, I think, 6 cameras on there, and we did the scene. Steven takes out the chainsaw, and he actually finishes just the cut of wood that was just holding the whole front of the house together. So he cut it, and then the front of the house falls off. It was quite a excellent piece of prop work, I thought.
Yeah, I just thought the 3 of you just stood outside when it falls down.
Yes. Yeah, we were outside, and we were worried it was going to rain that day too. And we thought, well, if it's gonna rain inside the house, and we're going to ruin all the furniture, because the furniture was actually used again.
Yeah.
But the house, of course, right after that was completely demolished.
There's also Maximum Buyers. I think that's the one when it was in prison.
Yes, I wasn't really in that one very much. That one, I remember having a lot of days off because it was mostly, if I'm not mistaken, Bruce Harwood with his shirt off too, being all
he's always
macho in prison.
He's always in his suit on the show.
Yeah, and suddenly here he is in prison without his suit anymore. Yeah, that one was fun, but it was the first one I had like almost a week and a half off after shooting each and every day. So it was my holiday episode, as I call it.
Yeah. And the tango one was interesting.
Yeah. Tiger, now you got to remind me of that. I haven't seen these since they've aired, or since we filmed them, actually.
Tango de los I can't really pronounce them. Oh yeah, the Captain Toby show. That was.
Oh yes.
That was
with Tom.
Friendly episode, and because
yes, Tom Poston.
It was based
I was
on
a big Tom Poston fan. Yes, yeah. And he was very hilarious. And of course, at the end, he thinks I'm a girl. And yeah, they're sending secret messages through the kids' Captain Toby show to the Chinese. Tom Poston, of course, you know, had a long career on the Bob Newhart show, and also on Mork and Mindy with Robin Williams. He was the downstairs neighbor of Mork, who wrote the letters or the greeting cards. And he was also married to Suzanne Plachette, who was Bob Newhart's wife in the first Bob Newhart show. So basically, we talked at length about all those shows and how much I, you know, grew up watching them and loved that stuff. And he was really great to work with. Really a lot of fun. Had great stories too. Time on set.
Sorry. Now we come to my favorite language. But before
okay, what is it?
It's all about Yves.
Why is it your favorite?
I'll let you know soon. Before I get into it, in the X-Files and you're all it's one of those shows where you're all called by your last name. But
yes.
In the credits, your character is known as Richard Ringo Langley.
Yes.
The question is, what does the Ringo mean?
Well, I think it's supposed to be if it's John Fitzgerald Byers was his name, and he is born on November 22nd, 1963, the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Yeah.
And so the idea that I too was born somewhere in the 60s, but then I was named after Ringo, the drummer from the Beatles. That's why I have a rock and roll background. I think the writers were all just trying. Yes, exactly. And the Ramones T-shirts and all the different bands and stuff like that. So the idea was that my family were rockers, and I carried on the tradition, even though I'm stuck in a basement with computers. I still have the rock and roll mentality.
Oh yeah, because of another episode with a funny bit of Langley. I'll say this bit first. There was an episode where I don't know whether or not you made 2 parts in it though, because it was a golf episode.
The golf episode.
Yeah, and there was a part where you were sucking out petrol from the UV bus.
Yes. Yeah. That was.
Went to this location.
I get totally nauseous.
Yeah.
I throw up in the Tiger Woods golf bag.
Yeah, you were sick of it, and you had to clean it out, and then you washed off all the names that was signatured or autographed on it.
Autographed, exactly, and then we're trying to put them back on. I think, was that not? I want to say that's the same episode where Tom falls into the mud face first. I think that's either the pilot or the very first episode, if I'm not mistaken. Because I do remember that being shown as a preview to the fans, and then the fans went, "How come Langley's always throwing up?" So I thought that was funny.
I haven't seen them again for quite a while. That's why I recently watched them. And the last one, hilarious. I thought this was, and it was all about using it. Guest starred the character Morris Fletcher from season 6, I believe, of the X-Files.
Yes, as Morris. Yes, Michael McKean.
Yeah, it's
Michael McKean from
Eve's hotel room was booby trapped or something, and it was you that opened the door. You cut like a wire, opened the door fully, and your face was splashed with blue dye.
Yes.
And then,
and that was not special effects either. They basically said, "You're gonna walk, just open this door and stand there, and we'll have this." They just said it's a little spray can of blue paint. They didn't say they had a 800 pound per square inch air compressor with a blue blast of paint that covered my entire head.
And all that Morris Fletcher's character could do was just laugh at you.
Yes, and do Braveheart impersonations. Blueberry, he did numerous different takes on that, where he was basically improvising stuff of Blue. He called me a Smurf at one point, Papa Smurf. He did Barney the dinosaur's gay cousin, I think he said at one point. A lot of stuff that wouldn't get cleared by legal left on the cutting room floor, but he was hilarious in all those takes.
You tried getting off the dye at one point. It didn't come off, and he started laughing again.
Yeah, and that was the plot point of how we got past the facial security recognition. With the blue, you could blue screen in the faces that you need to pick the locks to get into the secret 16th floor vault down below. So it was funny that we get double crossed by Michael McKean's character, and it's so great to see him now on Better Call Saul, which is written by Vince Gilligan, who wrote that episode as well. Vince wrote a lot of the Lone Gunman episodes, and then went on to do Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So it's quite neat to see the lineage of that carry on.
Yvdel Harlow, I'm forgetting a character actor name.
Oh yes, her name is Zuleika Robinson.
Yeah.
Zuleika is I don't know what the name hails from, but she is actually has, I believe, a Scottish passport, but went to international school in Bali and lived in Cambodia for a while. And so basically she is this kind of international beauty. And you can see her now. She was in the Once Upon a Time spinoff, which was called but she was the evil queen in that one, and she works a lot. She was in Four Feathers as well, the feature film, and Merchant of Venice with Al Pacino. She has a part in that as well. So I don't get to see her as often as I'd like. We're both in town, but we're both very busy.
She's always one step ahead as well as the Lone Gunman.
Yeah, you know, that's always the thing. When you think you're the best hackers, there's always some other hacker who's outsmarting you. Hence why there's no webcam on my camera, because some other hacker outsmarted me and turned mine on without my knowing it. So I had to disconnect my camera.
Maybe there's an interview we do one day in future. Have to have a webcam.
Yeah,
on
exactly. Well, yeah, maybe I'll go to a public somewhere where I'm not worried about invasion of privacy and that sort of thing.
Yeah, but this is a fun interview anyway. Discussed a lot.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And everybody gets to look at you. There you go. You have fascinating questions.
There's another scene in that episode where Eve is impersonating Flowicky on the computer, and she calls or emails Mulder.
Uh-huh.
And later on in that episode, I think Jimmy Bond checks that email and wonders who it's from, and he wonders who Fox is, because he leaves his first name on the email. And
Right,
so
Fox Mulder.
And I think it's this parking lot. And instead of meeting Eve there, instead of meeting Mulder and Eve, Jimmy ends up there instead. And when Jimmy starts to walk, and Mulder walks around the corner. David just sort of guest starred for the first one scene, I think it was. But
absolutely.
The X-Files music was just very faint in the background, because it was, the actor from the X-Files, and I just thought that was my favorite part of this episode.
Yeah, it was fun. David was actually requested to. He was really hoping to be a part of the show because he really, hanging out with the gunman was a kind of the highlight of him working on the show. Because so often he, had to do 16-hour days, very laborious, sometimes with special effects and UFOs and stuff like that. So when the three of us hung out, and he knew Tom really well because Tom was also the first assistant director on the X-Files. So the days Tom wasn't acting, he was had a headset on and he was getting David from the trailer to set and all that sort of thing. So he was so they had become quite close over the 9 seasons, and so he wanted to be sure that he got a part in our spinoff.
I think Tom worked on the last X-Files movie.
Yes, he by that time he was working on something else, but he did do a few days on there. He wasn't fully, he didn't do the full 21-day shoot. He just did a couple days here and there, and day player, as it were, day operational pipe fitter or whatever they call it. So he came in and helped out and saw a lot of the old crew and because it was really a tight family working on the X-Files and on the Lone Gunman. And, you want to bring that family back together when you do a feature film. And I'm sure they're going to do it, find as many as they can for the 6-episode spinoff. Or sequel or end or whatever they're going to do.
See, back at the time, the shows were airing, I really hoped they would have been a Lone Gunman spin-off. Not a spin-off. That is a spin-off. Second season.
Yeah, we really thought it was going to happen, but by that time, Fox and 20th Century Fox and Chris Carter were kind of in not a tussle, but there was a lot of disagreements going on and that sort of thing. So even though the ratings were really good, and there's a lot to it. In fact, it's such a long story. I actually drew a comic book called "Why the Lone Gunman Was Canceled," which is on our website. Yeah, absolutely. Only 1,000 printed, and I'm down to my last 25 or so. So you can get it from my website, and of course I'll sign it. And you can find out the whole story of how the show came together and how it fell apart, and why maybe it got canceled, and the effects of that.
I'm really intrigued to do that, so I think I'll purchase the comic soon.
Oh yeah, okay, please do.
Yeah. And
Excellent.
I was going to say something there. Asset, do you still have the Lone Gunman Langley glasses?
I do. In fact, I recently was at a science fiction convention, and I realized that I have the TV pair, but when I did the the movie after season 5, I recently found
the first movie, Fight the Future.
Fight the Future. Yeah, that one. I recently found in a box they had made replicas, like 3 or 4, not 3 or 4. There was only 2, I think, of the movie glasses. So Langley has TV glasses and then exact replicas for the feature film. And they gave me both of those. And I recently just sold one to a collector at one of the conventions. So there's an original pair out there that a collector has, and then I have the 2 that I wore on the series and in the movie.
How many conventions have you been to now since the show?
Well, I did quite a few during the show. At one point, Chris Carter was very upset at the way conventions were presenting the X-Files. You know, the pipe and curtain and kind of just running the fans through. He wanted it to be a more interactive experience. So Fox actually got into the convention game with the X-Files Expo, which was a bunch of trucks traveling around. Oh, don't mind the Doberman just barking in the background there.
No, you're not.
And so, yes, I got 2 Dobermans, and they're running around all excited about something. Akasha, quiet. There we go. That's her shaking her ears. Oh, be quiet.
It would be cool to see you.
Well, you can see pictures on my website. I have paintings of them, and I also have. Sorry, that got and that's my answering machine going off. Yeah, I have 2 Dobermans, and I get pictures of them on my Twitter at dhaglund.com, and you can also see paintings of them at my website, deanhaglund.com. So, yeah, by all means, you can check out the dogs. But yeah, we were talking about the. Sorry, I'm being distracted by the voices in my background there. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. The what were we talking about again? We're the Dobermans, and then before, the glasses. Oh yes. So they gave me the glasses, and then I also got the first T-shirt, the Ramones T-shirt, the very first one I show up in. That one was from a rare 1985 Mondo Bizarro Ramones tour, and it's very hard to get because it was only printed for the European tour, and somehow there was one in Canada that they bought at a used clothing store, and I wore many a time on the show, and they gave that. So I have the original shirt, the original glasses, and then I have the back of the chair that has my name on it and everybody who signed it. And those are the elements that I've kept.
Do you have any? Have you ever been to any of the? I don't know if there have been any in England. But have you been to any conventions in England? Or?
Yes, I've done the NEC at Birmingham. Did a couple big ones in London. The names of which are escaping me, of course. I did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival 3 years in a row with my one-man improvised X-Files episode. I was also on the West End with that show at the Trafalgar Theatre, just off at Trafalgar Square. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. And of course, I performed at the Comedy Store and a couple other places just after Leicester Square. So, yeah, I love performing all over the UK. I don't get back there enough, but next time I do, I'll give you a heads up and hope you can come and check out one of my shows.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I won't bring the Dobermans, though. They're hard to travel with.
Any dog is, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the smaller ones you can now bring like under your seat on an airplane, but when they get to be 75, 80 pounds, they kind of have to go underneath, and that becomes a whole issue.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What is your best memories for working being Langley in X-Files or the Lone Gunman?
Yeah, it really was the family aspect of it. You know, it was fun coming to set, and everybody, you knew everybody's name, and everybody was there to work. And then, you know, it was like a lot of laughs, everybody having a really good time, and hard work. I mean, you'd work long, long hours, and we saw the sun rise on Saturday many a time because you kept working all through the night. But yeah, I really kind of missed the camaraderie and the family and that aspect of it. But of course, I'm really happy not to be pulling 24-hour all-nighters.
So do you miss the character, playing the character?
Yes and no. You know, he was serious and slightly fun. And I do sort of portray him on stage with my improvised, like it's a much louder comedic version of Langley. But so I still get to visit that aspect of it live on stage. So, but no, I don't necessarily miss it because each, you know, I approach each script, even though it's the same character, you bring different aspects to it of yourself, and it's always fun. It's a fun creative process, regardless of the character.
I was thinking if Langley did come back on something X-Files related, it'd be like Langley with shorter hair.
Yeah, I know. That's the other question people said. What, are going to wear a wig? What's going to happen? How are they going to get around that? I guess it will be shorter hair, and then maybe
Lone Gunman part that was quite funny when you was in a hospital and Frowick, he had to fake a gas attack, and
yes, that's right.
Your character was on the reception. The doctor came out and thought that you were a woman because of your hair.
That's right. It was an older old doctor with thick glasses.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that actor was. So fantastic. We don't know where he got him from, but he so played that part so well. And those thick glasses were actually his. Those weren't props. So he seemed to actually need massively thick glasses. So yeah, when he did a scene and then he walks off into the room, it is complete silence all on the set because he nailed it in one take, and he was hysterical. We could not believe how lucky we were to cast that guy.
So, you still see the other two guys much?
Well, they live up in Canada, so and I'm down in Los Angeles. And then now that I'm going to be moving to Australia, I'll probably run into them less because there were still times I'd get up to Vancouver, you know, to do a movie or something, or I still have family up there. So it was so easy, quote unquote, easy to drive with two Dobermans for 2 days up into Vancouver. So I would see them then, but now I imagine with my relocation, I will strictly be in email correspondence with them and not get to see them as much.
It was really cool that you three came back together for that documentary then.
Yeah, you know, they're really supportive, and we all are of each other's projects. I try to go to see Bruce on stage when he's doing plays in Vancouver and stuff like that. And you know, Tom, I keep pushing him. He brought a camera to set as first AD since day one of the X-Files, and he says he has some 2,800 photographs of behind-the-scenes stuff of the X-Files. And I kept saying, look, I'll sit down with you, we'll put it into a book, and we'll sell it around the world. And he said, yeah, we should do that, and never, you know, goes beyond agreeing that that's a good idea and never actually opening up the box of 2,800 amazing photographs, he said, that he has.
So when is it your move to Australia takes place?
Yes, 47 days. I got so much to do still.
Yeah.
websites to build, paintings to do. The dogs have to go to the vet a whole bunch more times. And then I'm doing 2 plays. I got stand, and it's gonna be a crazy month and a half ahead of me.
Mm-hmm. Any acting jobs at the moment coming up, or?
Yeah, I'll be doing. I'm down. I'm doing Sci-Fest, the Science Fiction Theater Festival here in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 2nd annual Sci-Fest with plays by Neil Gaiman, and Wes Craven has written a play. I'll be doing a play in there on Memorial Day weekend in May 24th, I think.
Neil Gaiman, I think.
Yeah.
I remember writing a few Doctor Who episodes.
He wrote a few Doctor Who episodes. He wrote a lot of great books, The Sandman, the comic book series, The Sandman, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I can't believe it. I'm blanking on it, but he wrote a play for Sci-Fest, and you can check that out at sci-fest.com and see the entire lineup. It's going to run through the entire month of May, and it's cast with a whole bunch of sci-fi actors that you know from Star Trek, Babylon 5, Deep Space Nine, Battlestar Galactica. So many actors that really love theater, which is often their first love, and they get cast into these sci-fi series that have a devoted following. But then to go back and go on stage is a joy. So the whole model of this is they cast those kind of actors and put them into science fiction stage work, which is really a lot of fun.
Do you like Doctor Who?
Yes, I just started getting into it in the last 8 months. I was not a fan. It took me forever to figure out how to get into it. I watched the 2-hour biopic on the first female producer who produced the first season of Doctor Who, Peggy, whatever her name was. And I thought that was fascinating. And from that, then started looking at older episodes and sort of caught myself up to the Matt Smith and the Peter generation that we have now.
Mm.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite actor to play the part?
I'm liking Peter right now, actually. I think he's really brought the gravitas and the humor, and some have been funny and some have been very serious, and some have been maybe too light, and some have maybe been too dark over the years. But it's been really cool. I also have become friends on the convention circuit with Fraser Hines, who was the helper in the 70s, I guess. He had the kilt on in the episodes. I forget what his character's name, but he was in a lot of Doctor Who episodes. And so he's told me
to experience in Cardiff.
Oh yeah.
And
with the TARDIS, it's like across from the Performing Arts Center, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
yeah. I was in there as well.
A video I got on my channel. Have you seen my video?
No, I haven't. I didn't know you had a channel. I'm now going to look at that. I should have actually looked at it before we chatted.
Have you got YouTube?
I put some videos up, but most of them go over to Chilpack Hollywood and do all that sort of thing. I like to get all my video professionally produced, and then I never upload it. I'm the worst that way.
Yeah. But,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah. But yeah, you can watch my videos if you, it's the channel's MyDvdReviews, or one word. And
sounds good.
It's got my visit to the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff, right opposite where the show was made.
Does it have you at Universal City 10 years ago?
No, couldn't have a channel by that then.
Oh, right.
But,
so you're not putting up old stuff on off your camera.
Yeah. No, I don't have any from there. But all new stuff is on there.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to it.
Mhm.
Well, thanks so much, James. I'm sorry I got to run.
Okay.
I just allotted an hour for this because I got another one happening, another podcast in about 22 minutes. So I got to prepare for that one.
Okay. I'll end the chat quickly and then we can go.
Excellent.
Okay, so thanks to Dean Haglund for joining me. And maybe sometime in future, whenever, we'll maybe do another one.
Yes, absolutely. When I know my camera is not automatically turning on without my prior knowledge.
Yeah. When it's on, we'll know when to do one.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Totally appreciate it.
This is it for me, and this is for my guest today, in the form of Dean Haglund, my first Act 2 interview. So thanks.
Fantastic.
Until next time, guys, take care.